Okay, I'm Dr. Leonard, your favorite used car salesman, and this is the Sclerology Pocket Video Series number 4. The Sclerology Pocket Video Series is a relaxed, casual, informal way to connect us iologists. While our focus is sclerology, the other iology sciences are used, as you'll see. We start right off with iridology, for instance, physical iridology. So what we do is we choose a client or patient's eye photos, and then we consider what we're seeing in terms of iology sciences over against, and this is really important, what we know about the person from their intake history questionnaire, their personal appearance in our office, and from all other data. Like if they bring in, for instance, blood tests and surgery reports and so on. With psychoenergetics and personality iridology, we don't need to know much about the person, if anything, before we do an evaluation at that level. With physical iridology and sclerology, we always want to know as much data on the client as reasonably possible before we look at the eye images. In this pocket video process, we might use basic, advanced, and even research level concepts. So if you're new to this series, please keep in mind that these videos are designed for those with at least some familiarity with iology science. While we will briefly explain some of the terms and acronyms that we use, we will just breeze through certain other ones. So to be up to speed with terms and concepts, you might consider further study. Check our websites, which will be shown at the end of this video. Please bear with us if there are sound and video glitches. This will be recorded. Finally, unless you have a burning question, as has already been explained, that you feel just has to be answered right away, type it in or otherwise wait for the end of the session, which may go a full hour. So here we go. Let's begin with Professor Garcia's psychoenergetic evaluation, and then we'll talk about the patient's complaints, her signs and symptoms, and then we'll get right into seeing what the irises and scleras are saying at that level. Okay?
Before that, I would like to thank Catherine for letting us
Victimize her.
use her images and being part of this consideration.
Okay, Professor?
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Leonard, for your introducing your presentation, and very much to Catherine to be with us and be open to talk about her, and also to all of you together with us, and most of you for the 4th time, and maybe we'll be together again and again. And so we are going to talk a little bit with Catherine, and Dr. Leonard asking me to start. I'm going to make just a little start, so as we can make our exchanging and going back with physical level and emotion, vibrational and psychoenergetic levels, and that for it's important that Catherine can be with her microphone open, and because it's really nice for the first time for us, we have someone alive with us, not a dead one, doing this work with us. So it's really wonderful for us have someone to talk and make the correlations and aspects in real time, isn't it? So Catherine, can you open your microphone, please, and let's try to see if it's okay.
Hello.
Hello?
Here you are. Mhm.
Okay, yeah, it's working. Can you hear us?
Yes, very well, thank you.
Yes, okay. I think it's important to just to say that I can't remember if Dr. Leonard said that from the beginning. She's not using her real name, and also we asked her to don't open her camera, right? As we can keep her privacy and everything. Okay, so thank you very much, Catherine, to be with us and being our victims, as Dr. Leonard said. I've been watching your pictures and making some points, some notes, and as a general way, not going through each image. And we are going to do exactly the same way that we did on the last 3 lives. So Dr. Leonard is going to show the signs. I'm going follow him and making notes together. But as I would say, in general way, as I could say, may I say, Catherine, you can tell me, can tell us, how is for you, how do you perceive yourself as pushing you too much, as being too much hard with yourself?
I would say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. That's good. I mean, that's good. Do the correlation, yeah. And okay, so that's it. Might be one of the the principal reasons of many things that we are going to see during the pictures that we are going to evaluate. Okay, so being too rigid with yourself, right?
Maybe
Flexible.
not rigid, but hard and hardworking.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yes. 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 That's right. Being probably maybe unflexible. Is that English? I think yes, isn't it? Otherwise, anything, just Celsius is going to open his microphone and correct me, right?
You might say inflexible.
Inflexible. I was going to say that, but I thought it wasn't English because it's too close to Portuguese. Anyway, inflexible, exactly. It's easier for us. Yes, and so inflexible. But the point is, I might say maybe correct things. You are going to confirm to me, please, Catherine. But the point is, let's try to find the probably reasons of that. Okay, things that we can go closer to the origin of this inflexibility. Okay, and that we are going to do together during the pictures that we are going to see. Does that make sense, Catherine? Please.
Yes.
Okay. All right then. Just to finish this beginning, I would say it's we may find events during your life which can answer these things, this inflexibility and these things, but most of this it's yours. It's from your natural essence. Okay, it's inherent, right? And so it's you are bringing from your others uh, um, generations, right? So what we may see is things that happen during your life, situations that could increase these inflexibilities, okay, and some patterns of beliefs which can make it stronger, right? But let's go to watch the signs and find the around it. Okay, Dr. Leonard, please.
Okay, we're just going to shoot through some of these. You can see in the iris, we've only touched on some of the many, many, many signs that we're seeing here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'll read some of the items that she mentioned in her intake questionnaire. She's a woman of 60 years of age. I'm going to let you translate 5 feet 3 inches and 135 pounds to the metric standard. Her main stated complaints included menopausal symptoms like hot flashes, sometimes difficulty falling asleep, occasional anxiety, occasional nerve pain in her right foot due to scar tissue impinging on nerves. She had a surgery there. She mentions tendencies to sugar metabolism dysfunction, what the medical people call diabetes, and you can see that Russian sign there of the introverted wreath that Anita is pointing to. B3 deficiency, you can see the B3 bulge over there. That's another Russian iridology sign. Difficulties with cholesterol and hypertension, including recently, and hypertension is in the family. So just on the gross physical level, she had surgery to her right foot, or the cervix. She had she was incontinent for a period of time, the bladder problem. She had an endometrial ablation, a scraping of the internal part of the uterus. She had a subacromial bursitis on the left shoulder. We're not going to get into the specific definition of that. Injuries to her right foot, her left ankle, and her right shoulder. She's had a hiatal hernia. You can see the stomach circumstance there. She inherited a genetic tendency to weakness in that stomach at its ability. And she's had acid reflux. She had a severe mold reaction at one point, which developed asthma, allergies, and insomnia, which are often mold related, those three. Okay. She had a subacromial, I mentioned that, in the left shoulder. Then she had 2 automobile accidents, which resulted in whiplash, which of course is the neck was particularly affected in that case, but we think that's been healed. We're going to take a look at the scleras and the irises in terms of all of these, as much time as we have. She's taken many drugs over the years, at various times during, of course, the surgeries and for other, like many respiratory-related drugs. We're going to see drug signs in the scleras. Starting in the 60s, childhood vaccines, the DPT, IPV, polio, and the MMR, plus some adult flu shots. She's had kidney infections. We're going to look at the kidneys in the sclera, for which she took antibiotics. Okay, so we're going to see that the kidneys show probably the most congestion in the eyes, which is typical. Other medical diagnoses have included dyslipidemia, so her lipids signs were off. Hypertension, which is again in the family. These menopausal symptoms, which I mentioned. Elevated TSH, that's a thyroid stimulating hormone from the pituitary. So we're going to look for pituitary signs. She's recently been medically diagnosed, as I mentioned, with prediabetes. And we already showed you the inverted wreath in the bottom shows in both irises. Okay, so we can talk about the emotional level, but please, Professor Andre, just at any time, just stop me if you want to talk more about what you're seeing.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just going to briefly run through the etheric psycho-emotional level items. Okay, all of the noted physical traumas as they have impacted the etheric psycho-emotion, all those physical things are going to impact her at the etheric, emotional, mental, and psychic levels. Many problematic emotional issues that she had with her father, lifelong, prior to his passing, which was just about a year ago. She has suffered divorce. She tends to be emotionally empathic, so that means it's really important for her to be careful with the relationships she's in. She doesn't want to be around really dark people. So she had a terminated pregnancy. she had a brother die at age 44 of leukemia. Nobody should have to die that young. She had a prolonged, like a 2-year lawsuit that was very bitter. She had a major career change. She publicly came out homosexually, coming out of the closet, you know. So let's an occasional unexplained anxiety, which could be mold related. And finally, she has intelligently sought professional help, which has increased her ability to heal relationships. Okay, so from that, we can go on. We can take a look at some of these signs. Look at the sclera. So
Leonard?
you see,
Leonard,
yes, sir. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Leonard, may I? There's a question here regarding the mark where it was written thyroid. And Susan Kafa is asking, should the thyroid area written in be
Right.
the hypothalamus?
Right. It's over there where Nanita's little hand. I don't know. How do you make your hand small like that, Nanita? Anyway, yes, that is indeed a thyroid area that we discovered years ago. That is indeed another thyroid area. Thyroid isn't shown only in the medial quadrants. Okay. So thank you for that question. The sclerology map will show you that. Okay.
Just asking for confirmation if that is regarding the hypothalamus.
Yeah, the hypothalamus, as you'll see, if we go to, we're going to see when we look at the sclera, upper quadrants of the sclera, you'll see the hypothalamus definitely is in that area. Okay. So anyway, let's see, that was a right iris, so the hypothalamus is going to be over on the other side. Yeah. So this is, can we see another?
Which one?
Right upper.
That's the right upper.
Leonard, can I say something?
We don't. I guess
So
we
it should
don't.
be the thymus if it's the right eye?
That is the thyroid area. That is the thyroid area in the right upper.
Yeah. Leonard, can I just say something?
Sure.
I think it's the question. It's because on classic maps, usually on the we used to have hypothalamus and that's it on that area. But in your new map, in your new findings, that you found the thyroid as well.
In
the iridology map.
No, it's not the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus will be over in this area here. This is the hypothalamus area right there. Yes,
exactly.
In the right upper quadrant. But that is indeed a thyroid area. In zone 3 is the thyroid area. Yes.
Yes.
So we're still learning some things about it, but it
yeah.
is. Okay. Hope that answers your question somehow. Okay, should we go on then? Then we can look at some sclera markings now, Anita. Let's go over to the sclera. And you see I've already diagrammed several of these areas. You see the adrenal, and this goes right along with what Professor Andre said about her stress. You're going to see in both the right lower and the left lower quadrants, you'll see this marker. You see the P6 there. Well, Nanita, you could jump around any time that you like on these.
Let me just find the.
Yeah.
Very sure, right lower quadrant.
Right lower should be right there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 right lowers, and you can go over to that one too if you like. See the adrenal? Okay, so it's going toward the 6 o'clock positions, adrenal marker, kidney. This will be probably the heaviest marker. But the reason why I wanted to show this one, I didn't want to leave this out. You can see an N4-NDA, the only one that I found in these eyes, the only one. And for someone that age, usually you're seeing 2, 3, 4 different N4-NDAs, neoplasm vulnerable areas. That's cancer vulnerability. And there it is, right there. But the reason why I, what do you call that filter that I use to make that, Nanita? Turn it like that. What is that
Inverse.
called? No, there's another name for it. It's in the filter area. Stylize, and then go to, it's solarize. The reason why I solarize that, thank you, is so that, because if you go, and Anita will go back and forth and you can see, and we're going to teach a whole class on this. See, you can't see that as well when you use the regular view of the sclera. But when you solarize it, now you can see that it comes out in relief. So you solarize it, and then you add, you enhance it for brightness and contrast. Boom, you can see it. So those effects, which we're going to be teaching those, and they are very valuable in discovering such things as neoplasm vulnerable areas or cancer vulnerability. So you can see where that is. It turns out that that's in the ascending colon ovary area on the right side. So you got the adrenal, the kidney, and this is really important to notice. So the pancreas, remember the inverted wreath, okay, which she confessed to being pre-diabetic, okay, and then you can see the ureter, and we already mentioned her problem with the incontinence with the urinary bladder. But notice what's going on there. There is cleansing that's happening. See how those markers have faded out. And this is really, she needs to be congratulated for this, because this lady really got into some good diet. Her diet is somewhere around 60 or so % raw now, maybe a little higher. She's into smoothies, and she has really helped herself. So you have to congratulate somebody who does this sort of thing. They need your support. The P6 down there, that's that's fungal related sign, and of course, yeah, it's not much, but it's pink. It's just, so it's she's had this problem before. It's number mold is related to fungus, and it's, what is a P6? It's a what's the name of that? Candida is the yeast. It's the yeast marker. Okay, yeast parasite. So we can go on to another sign. So there's just so much more. I'm just hitting highlights here. In this right medial quadrant, you see there's bordered meander, okay? And that is thyroid, but it moves into the parathyroid. So this is bone, or bones are vulnerable. But if you consider the coloring, the hue coloring of these lines, that line in particular, over against what we saw in the kidney and what we're going to see in the upper quadrants, this is cleansing. There's cleansing in almost every quadrant that we look at. So again, this lady is to be congratulated in this. So there have been thyroid problems in her family, and she inherited this tendency, as we will see. Okay, this is the left medial quadrant, and you can see her need for women's relationships, close friend relationships, the medial red wash. Okay, and you can see this is a thyroid marker, and see it's a little brighter red. So it's still, there's congestion she needs to work on there. And it does go up into the neck area, the neck vertebrae, where she had that. So there's some immune compromise there from the cervical nerves, from the whiplash that she had. Okay, this is another one that goes into the back. There's just so much information here that we could continue to talk about. So please, Professor Andres, you stop me at any time. Let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, this one here, now you could, I think, yeah, you could go there and there. You see, I diagrammed the lateral red wash. And of course, there is heart disease in the family, the hypertension. Okay, you can also see the marker in the lid, the lower lid, for allergy, that rich red there. So that could very well have been a result of the mold problem. Okay, so,
and also in terms of the physical problem we've seen so far, what we kidney and thyroid seems to be like the predominant. So she has what we call THK, thyroid, kidney, and heart axis. So if he has some issue with the heart, it's not mostly related to the heart itself. if she is not careful in the future, for example, um, the heart issue that she would be experiencing is mostly related or coming from or influenced by the function of the kidney and the thyroid.
Good call. Okay, we can go to another one.
There's again red wash. So you could see in the sclera there is no big marker like a congestion lines that we're seeing in the heart area. It's mostly the red wash. And the predominance of the big red lines are from the kidney and the thyroid. So having assistance or having nurture points, what we could call nurturing the thyroid and the kidney, would definitely help her heart issue, including the hypertension.
Good call. Okay,
and then the pre-diabetic, of course.
Right. So we know what to do in that case. We're not going to go into a lot of detail as to what to do to prevent diabetes. I mean, so many people have diabetes these days because it's essentially dietary. Okay, I think you could go back and continue on where we were. And we were in the left eye. I think we can go to L4 and then go to the left upper, because in the left upper, we have that diagrammed. Okay, so this is the left upper. You see there's your cerebellum and the hypothalamus that was mentioned. And notice what's going on with the hypothalamus. There's a bordered meander there. Okay, so that's a blood pressure situation. See that there's the pituitary. Remember TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, which involves the pituitary. So, and you see the color of that line, but the biggest color involves this cerebellum. So that's a whole other issue that we can and the vital force is where it starts, right? So anyway, there's so much more we can talk about, but there's several other areas that we want to look at. So these all explain, see, in the past, she felt weakness. She felt like she didn't have as much energy, but a lot of her energy has come back because she has gotten into more balance. She has forgiven her father. She has rightly used some other practitioners in that regard. She's brought balance back into her life. She's gotten into natural health even. In fact, this lady is one of us eyeball folks. She is an eyeologist, right? So anyway, let's go to another key. There's just so much we could talk about here.
Which one do you want?
I think we just go around. Okay, this is the L6 view, so you can have another. And the reason why we use these L2, 4, 6, and 8 views is to see if there's any connection between markers in the upper cues and in the medial lateral cues. And there's really nothing to speak of here. So, but they could be very important. And we can go to the next one.
Leonard, may I?
Sure.
Oh, there's an echo there. Susan is asking if there is an N8 in the vital force line and an N4.
Let's take a look.
That does look like, it definitely does look like an N8. It does. And I wondered if anybody was going to notice that. And yeah, it is. So, and you can have, of course, there is such a thing as brain cancer. There definitely is. But in view of, the reason why I didn't even mention it is because in view of the fact that every single quadrant that what we look at, you see cleansing. There's cleansing everywhere, even right there, right opposite the pituitary side, right in that line. Excuse me. You see cleansing. So there's no point in even mentioning it. There's just so much cleansing going on here. But that's a good call. It's good that somebody did notice that. It is an N8. But I don't see any N4s.
She is adding in the upper Q.
Yeah, this is an upper Q.
To the right of that.
Okay, over there. No, the lines are not straight enough. Thank you. I mean, that's a good consideration. But the lines have to be straighter than that.
yeah, one of the things that we have observing with is a line that configuration, if a line, for example, let me get a brush, a brush. Oh, this is too small. I'm not familiar with your,
It's
That
okay.
program
I think we can see.
right there.
yeah. So if you see a, what the heck? Sorry.
It needs a little more practice with this more basic
Okay, so
program.
this right here, is that the one you're talking about? So what we have observing in the upper quadrant, if we see some line configuration like this, and there is some line that goes with that, it looks like a bulwark or
Mhm.
radiation sign. This is what we have observed over the years. Is a person had some trauma. They had concussion or some kind of like head and neck injury.
Mhm.
We have observed this kind of patterns.
Well, of course, in her case, in Catherine's case, she had two accidents. I guess uh, automobile accidents, and she has had several falls from horses. She worked with horses for I think about 9 years. So this could explain that kind of trauma. Okay, but it's not an N4. But anyway, yeah, bring that up if you have any questions about it. Let's take a look at it. So we could just go to the next one, or wherever you want to go, Anita.
Okay, this is the right
This is the
upper.
right upper. Okay, and again, we have a marker coming from the vital force and going through a couple of other brain areas. So again, though, we see cleansing that's going on. So it's remarkable, and you don't see this happening too often. Most people don't want to get into fasting. This woman has gotten into liquid dieting. She's lost a bunch of weight. She was way overweight. She's just done so many good things for herself. We can go to another one. Okay, this is the R2 view. Okay, the research angles are L2, 4, 6, and 8, and then R2, 4, 6, and 8. This is the R2. And it's another view of that marker that's the urogenital marker there that goes into, yeah, that one. So you can see it's just for another view there. And I do that because I wanted to see if there was a connection between the lower quadrants, organs in the lower quadrants, particularly endocrine organs, and endocrine organs like the thyroid and parathyroid in the medial quadrants. See, so we don't see any connection there, so that's good. Okay, you want to go to another one?
I think we've seen the whole.
Seen everything then?
I'm gonna put it back to the iris for Andre.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else that you'd like to talk about, Andre? Just let us know and we'll go from. Oh, you want to look at the scleras too? Anything you want to look at, we'll just guide us there. Tell us where you want to go and we'll go there.
Okay. Yes. So many things to say, but I'm saying that you also have so many things to say that I'm letting you to speak more.
Well, I was waiting for you because I enjoy what you tell us.
I'm enjoying it. Well, let me see where we can go back then. Um, oh, I think I'm not sure if I'm following the chat. Celso can have a look to us. I think maybe there's some question that we didn't answer yet about fading and cleansing.
Mm-hmm.
When there is a fading of the vessel, just like what we have
Yes.
here.
Really?
Yeah.
So
Example
let's
there.
take a good example. If there is a fading
Just
of
to
the
show
vessel,
that's
there's
the a
let's
sign
take it.
of cleansing when
Mm-hmm.
it's
Well,
fading. But
I,
it's nice to say, Leonard, that that's the real cleansing. It's when we see the fading the fading coming from
Descending cold.
the end of the line, isn't it? not in the middle exactly.
But it could happen in the middle too, like in this kidney, for instance. See how it seems to dip down into the sclera, which it actually does, which is showing us that cleansing is taking place. And there's, I think in the left lower, right lower, you can see the same phenomenon. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, here we see, and this is not at the end of the line. This is in the middle of the line or near the beginning of it. And so you see cleansing. And so that could take place anywhere.
And it's not only like fading of the lines. Sclera, as you study the sclerology, you'll see that the sclera is more dynamic. It changes as your health changes, not unlike the iris. The iris, there is, that's why they use the iris, especially the structure in biometrics, because it's much more stable. But of course, you can make an argument that everything changes, but the changes that happen structurally in the iris is very minute.
And very slow.
And very slow. So you don't really perceive the changes that taken place. The color also changes, and the iris is cumulative. Over the years, you will see changes in the color hue or patterns, not the patterns, not the structure. With the lines in the sclera and also the coloring, you'll see it's much more responsive and dynamic to the changes that's happening in the environment. That means the environment of the person that has the eyeballs.
And more immediate. And
more
also,
immediate.
you can see the caliber. The thickness of the line will change.
Will change. They will become narrower or thinner.
As cleansing takes place.
Yes, or they change in the hue. Okay, there's a changes in the hue of the brightness of the line. It's become when the lines are active or acute. And there's acute and chronic. When it's really acute, then that line would become bright red and engorge.
A question here. Is there an N8 in the pancreas line?
It could be argued. She's talking about right there, right here. Yeah. Right there. See where Nanita's little tiny hand is there. So yeah, that could be argued as an N8, or at least a potential N8. So it could be an NVA. So we could actually mark that as an NVA, and it would be in the pancreas.
Then the reason that this little curve that looks like an NVA, the reason that it's still more bright, not bright, but more
faded.
More alive than the other side and the middle, that it's fading, exactly because it's very curving like that, isn't it? It's very.
That we could just say because of the iris, because that's the area. If we look on both the iris. You see this introflexion of the reed?
Yeah.
Right there, that is a tendency for having problems with the pancreas metabolism.
Yes.
And so that's why we're seeing that sign in the pancreas, although there's a lot of cleansing and she has done so many good things to help her health circumstance, that's still an area of vulnerability. And so if she, in the future, for example, she just let go the areas of your vulnerability, that can potentially be an issue again.
Right.
Yep. And what I'm trying to say before about fading on the end of the line and as a cleanse and not on the middle. I was trying to say is when the ending of the line it's alive, You know, it's high congestion, and the middle it's fading. On this case, we may not consider it a cleansing. It's what I'm trying to say before. Not on this case, because on this case we have the fading on the end and fading on the middle. This case we have
Right.
process of cleansing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. If when those, you're right. I mean, if those lines were bright red at the ends, now this is a danger sign.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so the point is, we're going to talk with Mrs. Jones or Catherine in this case about the importance of maintaining her discipline. And nobody likes discipline. Discipline's a pain in the ass, but it's one of those things that you just have to do. You have a body, you take care of it, you discipline it, and that way it remains strong, right until it's the last day of your life.
Yeah.
So, and that can happen. We've seen it happen many, many, many times. So,
Yeah.
whatever age you are, discipline is important. So, you always want to encourage people to bring discipline and right life, right practices to the body mind.
There's another question.
Okay.
If the shape of the collarette does not change, is the pancreas issue predisposed?
The shape. Let's go back to the iris.
Yeah.
Okay, the shape of
You answer.
The question was written when the iris picture was still there.
Okay.
It's a predisposed, exactly. Yeah.
So what is the question again, please?
It's about the wreath or the collarette. It's called the collarette.
The collarette.
If the shape of the collarette doesn't change, is the pancreas issue predisposed?
Yeah, because
Yes,
what you see, you can answer it, Anita, if you like.
Yeah.
You can see the pancreas. You can see the genetic markers. There's what could even be a DM, a defect
Crypt.
marking there.
Yeah.
At least it's a crypt. There's two of them, and those are genetic markers. Those are not going to go away. So the pancreas predisposition is there. It will not go away. So it just depends on what she's going to do.
Yeah, and even if a person has predisposition or genetic predisposition to any type of disease, the genes, our gene doesn't have the mechanism to switch on and off. It's only gonna turn on if the environment is conducive to having that gene for diabetes, for example, to be turned on.
Right.
Just like you think of the key in the car. Okay, think of the genes as the car, and the key is we think of the key is correlated to
Like the person.
control of the car, but it's not. It's the person behind the wheel who controls the car. It's just that the key correlated to the control of the car, but it doesn't control the car. And it's the same thing with our genes. We could be predisposed to all kinds of diseases, but it depends on the environment if those
We put ourselves
predisposition
in. Yeah.
would be turned on.
Yeah.
It all depends on what we do. So that's why this discipline, this pure diet and lifestyle, life positive diet and lifestyle are so important. And so that's really the emphasis in any consideration that you have with the patient.
And it's not just the physical aspect. There are things that the last thing that we have noticed with the disease process is the physical. Before the physical, even the trauma that happened in our lives, there's always some energetic and emotional, mental component that brought it on. We cannot really look on the disease that is just purely physical. There's always mental, emotional, and energetic component to it.
So you could see that she has this right lung is a large, like a rather weak but diffused lacuna there, right? Well, I didn't mention that she actually smoked for 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure I remember exactly, but just a few cigarettes a day. But that contributed to the weakness in the lungs. And then she had that mold that she was breathing in for a period of time. So those toxins are going to go into the lungs and make that area vulnerable. And then she develops allergy, and she develops other problems where she's taking medications, and that adds to the problem. So, it's what you
Leonard,
do.
can I
You have to
say
be careful
something?
of your environments and, smoking, whatever you do, develop life positive habits of diet and lifestyle. So you're not going to have any problem with that lung, no matter how weak the tendency is, right? So, any other questions? You doing good? Professor
Can I
Andre,
say
did you want to
something?
say anything?
That's fine here.
I think we've covered everything. I mean, there's so much more that's in here, so
Can
many
I
other
start?
areas of tendency and so on. One other thing, let's point to this. Notice I put up here, this is a brain area. These are both brain areas up here, right? But notice what I put, emotional and mental, okay? The emotional is the area of the brain, if you divide it in half right there, is the one that's toward the medial, okay? And the mental, both right and left, thank you, Nanita, is the part of the brain area that's toward the lateral, okay? So you could see that there's acute activity in those. Although you could say, all right, let's find out what specific brain areas they are. In her case, the emphasis has to do more with the etheric, emotional, than it does with the gross physical. So the emphasis in her case, and you can find out just by reading her intake, you could see that those acute, subacute markers that you could argue are in the irises in those areas. You could argue, okay, well, Dr. Leonard, those are brain areas. Yes, but if you read her intake carefully, you'll see that they have more to do with the emotional and the mental than they have to do with specific brain areas and their functions. Okay, so we wrote a book about this. It's called Upper Q. So we consider it as a pretty important book, and it's enormously expensive. I think it's what, $2.50 or. Anyway, it's real inexpensive. You can take a look on our website and see it. So there's a couple of two little items I wanted to mention at the very end. Maybe I should mention it now, unless.
No, give Andre.
Professor Andre, did you have anything else that you wanted to mention?
If you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
Go right ahead. It's your turn.
You've hogged the time.
Thank you. I would like to ask to Catherine if during his life, if he feels like he can, he like she has the ability to expose herself to talk when she thinks she needs to talk, and to listen when she thinks it's important. So it's a both way of energy goes in and out. You know what I mean about expression. And during his life happens some direction which her begins to feel herself pushed to expose more than she wants. You know what I mean? So she begins to need to expose herself more than she felt.
More than she would like to, or that she felt appropriate.
Yes, exactly. I'd like to see if she can talk with us about this.
So if I understand your question correctly, Professor Andre,
Thank you.
there was early childhood considerations to not express myself,
Okay.
and then as an adult becoming a leader in the community and an activist.
Okay.
There was some vulnerability and exposure there that I had to overcome. Some, wasn't my comfort zone. I had to push myself to do.
That's really makes sense. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you. Because it's we can see that your nature of expression, it's that you have the ability to express yourself, but not too much, not like a extroversion person, but also not an introversion, right? But enough to, when it's need to talk, you talk. When it's need to pay attention, you pay attention, and that's it. So you are open to express yourself when you really think that it's important. Otherwise, you don't have the need to always being showing yourself, right? But your beliefs and the things that you think is important in your life maybe bring you to some kind of position, social position, that push you to have to show yourself more often that you would like.
That's very accurate.
Okay. How we can see that? Because as I call on psychoenergetic iridology, you develop extroversion developed way to be, right? Your normal way, it's like a normal version. I don't know if it's that word in English. I hope yes.
Could you say that in another way? Maybe.
Yeah, she's not introversion, she's not extroversion. Just like Danny Johnson's Raid, right?
Oh, yeah. There
You
is a
know,
term for that. It's an ambivert. You are
Ambivert,
not
yeah.
either an extrovert or
you
an
are
introvert.
normal. Yeah,
Right.
you are
Yeah, it's
normal.
an ambivert. Ambivert is a person who
Can
uh,
be either.
can be
Yeah.
at certain circumstance to be introverted, and then at certain situation based on how they feel that they can be
Exactly.
extroverted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but what it's not on Raid, it's the way that she developed during his life, because the opportunities, the things that she followed, the need to get extroversion. What's that in English? You said, Anita, please.
Ambivert. And the way we can see that in the iris iridology is you see the reed. She has a very good reed. That's
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
the
but
balanced.
it's not
balance.
large. But it's not
Yeah, it's not
large.
too
It's not
large.
too
Yeah, but
large.
you can. Yeah,
Okay.
but you can see it clearly. But then at the same time, you see
Exactly. That's
the
that.
Stomach.
stomach.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's the combination of
So
the
the clear,
introversion extroversion.
yes, the halo, the around the pupil, right? When it's clear like that, it means that you develop. You could be introversion. Yeah, in it, introversion, when you can talk, you are not open to talk. Yeah,
Introvert, right.
introverts. Yeah, so you could be introvert, you could be normal, right? But not extroversion, right? But when you develop this white, not really white, it's clear halo around the pupil, right? Then you develop that during your life for some need, and that makes you to feel the need to expose yourself more than you would like.
Hmm.
So you are going against your nature. That's the point. You are going against your nature. And that's usually, on this case, may reflects on physical level and problem with stomach, right? So, and in your case, we have maybe some problem in stomach, and also together with pancreas.
Hmm. Right.
Okay, does that make a little sense, Catherine? Please.
It makes a lot of sense. So if I'm passionate about a cause, usually
Yeah.
having to be with justice and equitable application of human or civil rights for individuals that pushed me to expose myself to fight the good fight, so to speak.
Yes, yes, yes. That was the second part that I was going to say. It's about what? What pushes you? It's things about exactly what you said, justice, right? Things that it's right or not. Things about human being, the rights of the human. And I would say that it's very strong on our day now. This picture were took it on 26th of August, last 2 months ago. Yeah. Can we think about that exactly now then? So in August, you've been thinking a lot about these things, specifically about this kind of subject. These are very alive in your days now.
It's almost like political issues, I guess.
Yeah, well, and so in America, I think most of you would probably acknowledge that there's been some civil unrest. And
Yeah, a little bit.
so I'm involved in, supporting others that I may perceive as being vulnerable and being their allies, including the fact that I self-identify as a minority and someone that might be subject to the negative impacts of our current administration. So I'm part of the Black Lives Matter movement, women's rights movement, LGBTQ queer movement, and just immigration. So just the gamut of human rights violations that we're currently seeing in America is very disheartening and weighs heavily upon me and projects me into action and taking on that cause.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's great. That's beautiful. Can I go on? Can I?
Sure, go ahead.
I would like to add, after you say something, I'll like to add about the reach shape too.
So go ahead, Andre.
Okay. So I would like to go to, let me see how many pictures. The medial quadrant. Yes, next one. This one. No, yes, this one. Okay. So this line on the half upper part, yes, this one, telling us exactly what you said. Exactly. Okay. The first things that I was saying about your expression way to be, it was in the iris. But about what and when and how intensity, it's on that line. That line, it's showing us aspects about justice, about human rights. Doesn't say about human rights, it says about rights. You bring the information about human rights, right? What moves you, okay? But it talks, it brings us information about rights, right? Justice, what is right, what is wrong, and how much that moves you, how much that touches you, right? And it really touches you. And this line then, we can see that that's not new. It's inherent from you. That's from your essence, from your nature. Okay, and
It's innate,
what
Innate.
is
innate core values.
it's something that it's yours. Then during your life, you have making contact with this kind of things which moves you and touches you a lot. And why it touches a lot? Because it comes from your essence, your nature, right? Then having contact and fighting with these things, fighting for these things, right? You find challenges. Then these lines comes strong, right? And the intensity of the line in nowadays can show us how much these things bother you when the pictures were taken so 2 months ago. Okay, so it's very new. It's very not new. It's alive. It's and alive.
Active.
It's active.
Okay, and let me see what else. So justice, things about justice, and this other line below that one. Yes, this one. This one can show us how much these things touch your soul, touch your feelings. It's annoys
So
you a lot.
So if I might, it's external things that I internalize and have issue with, but it
Yes.
comes from my innate being, my spirit, because it's not congruent
Yes.
with who I am at my soul.
Interestingly, on the etheric level, that marker is coming from the heart, from the etheric emotional heart area. Is that
Yes.
interesting?
Yes. That's right. That's right. Which touch her feelings as self-esteem as well. Okay? If she feels that she can't do enough for these people, it goes to her self-esteem. You know, more than other people.
Frustrating.
Yes, frustrating. Yeah. Can you try to perceive as another way these old situations in your family with something that was not good on that time, which you nurture this bad feeling for a long time, but it has an important purpose to help you to build your personality, to get strong in what you do in our days.
Absolutely, without question.
And the most difficult part is to work with forgiveness. Those situations and those people, yeah, and actually say thanks. You really make a strong person, and I'm really a strong fighter today in our days with these things. Yeah.
Yes, I would say that I've absolutely been able to get to that place and hold an appreciation for who it's made me today and the type of person I am. So there is a gratitude and appreciation for that.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, you just said what I was going to say. We can agree that today you have already this gratitude, you feel already this forgive, and you are much alright with all this in our days. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You know how we can see that? Now I'm going to ask to Nita, please go to the third.
Excuse me, just before. Sorry to interrupt, Andrea. Just before you change the slide, there is a question about an N8. If there is an N8 in that line? Is it parathyroid?
Yeah, it involves the parathyroid. Yes, indeed. Good call. There's two of them.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Before Nita goes to the third picture, let me get this also. Exactly this part about the NVA. Catherine, all that happened made you feel being bad judging. Is that works also, please?
If at that time at your mid-teens, if you felt that you were being judged or ill-judged, no, not being understood, if more or less that is that what you mean, Andrea?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So yes, I was propositioned and I strongly
Declined?
declined. And so I was made to feel judged for that.
Yeah. Okay.
But I was very strong-willed and had very strong self-esteem and confidence and stood up for myself.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Sorry, ask again these things. Yes. So exactly this kind of feeling, it's which goes to your unconscious and get being nurtured until today during your life and helps you to get strong and be the one that you are and the fighter that you are today. It's what I'm trying to say before. Yeah. And that's why this line it's looks like a NVA. Yeah. And it's a strong line, it's thick. Yeah, it could be, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's not more alive because you are working with these things. You are changing your mind. Yeah. You are transforming all these things, right? And we can see that on the third picture. Now you can go to that picture. So the cleansing sign, it's on particular area. Yeah, we can see here on the left one and also on the right one, the right lower quadrant. Yes, the left lower quadrant and on the right lower quadrant, both we have cleansing areas. One of them it's saying that you are forgiving yourself and forgiving themselves, right? And that's on the other one that we saw. Now here we can see that these lines is showing that you are may not asking anymore why things like that happen to me. Probably in a couple of 10, 20 years ago, you've been asking why these things, bad things happen to me. You not ask that anymore for a long time already, because you already you change your ideas about these things.
Yeah, you don't have to ask yourself anymore because you have matured, and so you don't question yourself. Why me? Why me? Why do these things happen to me?
Nowadays, you already resolve these things. Yeah, at least 80%. Yeah, and now you are making your renewing your physical level, but the root of the problems you're already done. That's the great thing. Yeah, it's what we can see also on these lines. Lines show us energetic level, vibrational level, mental, emotional level, and physical level. We can't work only on one or in the other. We have to work on all levels together to see result on lines and sclera. Yeah. Okay. I'll let Catherine say something now. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes, it does make perfect sense, actually. I would say we have this expression here in the U.S., you've hit the nail on the head.
And I can verify that, having known Catherine for many years, I have seen her grow and mature as a human being, and that's in many ways. So it's a really delight to have seen that and to know this person.
Great. Thank you both. So I would say that, Catherine, you have learned already how to understand your life, understand your childhood, understand your fugiu a adolescência, Celso.
Teenage time.
Yeah, your teenage time is more important.
Adolescence.
Yes, and you have learned to change the way to see all that, and the most important, to forgive, to have gratitude, and all that. When we get all that together, we transform in power of our personality to invest, to put all this power in our purpose, which is your fighting for human rights like you do. So it's great. It's great. There is a little thing that still bother, which is maybe, please correct me if I'm not right, the way like you still push yourself, that you maybe are still too rigid with you. No? Please tell me if I'm wrong.
No, that's correct. I push myself hard.
So I would like to say
I
that
expect a lot from myself and others. I hold the bar high.
Yes, but you have to be careful with that. This is what I would like to be able to explain. You see how your reed is introverted here, and there is a little bit of dipping in here, and also right here. So it's a pattern. You have a what we call like an empath, that you can really feel what's going all around you, and very sensitive, and you took it on. You really took it on in your being, and it's like energy drain. There's a tendency because you feel
Other people. Yeah.
other people, and it's, but you tend to took it on upon yourself. And so you have to be a little bit more careful on that, because you see here and here, it's almost like squeezing you, your energy level.
Right.
So just be careful on that. It's good to be able to help and be sensitive to what's going on around you and to help people, but it's another thing if you took it on and hurt yourself in the process.
Right. So when I first got into being a health practitioner, it was very depleting, because people would come and they weren't feeling well and not energetically strong. And it would actually deplete me quite a bit, to the point where I was exhausted. I had to learn that I was an empath, an emotional empath, and I needed to learn the tools to deflect and protect, at the same time as making myself available to help people.
Yeah.
And
so that's a process.
It's not our role as a healer to heal other people.
Right.
Our role as a healer is to teach. We're called a healer, but we don't heal. The only person we can heal is ourselves.
Absolutely.
That's right. Dr. Leonard, please can carry on. I have more things, but let's go together.
Yeah, there's only a couple of things I wanted to mention. One is if you look around the irises, what you're going to see is a lot of these transversals. And there's multiple transversals.
Yes.
And this is peripheral, this is what it's called. See, there's some here, and they're just all over. And when you see these out in zones 5, 6, and 7, it makes it creates a tendency to what is called peripheral neuropathy. Okay, peripheral neuropathy. And there's, as I said, there's just a bunch of them. They're all over in zones 5 and 6. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention is that I wanted to mention with regard to the mold. There is an organization. I had a conference just prior to this morning from the what is called the Biotoxin Foundation. It's a new foundation, so you might want to note that. You can Google it. It's called the Biotoxin Foundation, and it's new and it's developing, and it's designed to really help people who have been hurt by mold. And the man who originated is a personal friend of mine. I encourage people to just get into it. If you know any people who have been abused and harmed by mold, you can be helped in that. And finally, I wanted to mention a book called Not To Is Peace, which describes the how we got into this worldly situation. It's very difficult in the world right now. It's getting worse. How we got into it on the most fundamental level, and how we can get out of it quickly and peacefully, entirely peacefully. The book is called Not To, Not-TWO, Is Peace. Please write it down and check that book out. So with that, I'm just open to any other questions. I'm ready to bring this to a close. Whatever you want to do, Professor, we can go on. Otherwise, I'm finished with my presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the R4.
R4, yeah.
R4.
Yes. If you get the next one before that one, yes, that's one. The right middle one. Then we can see exactly on the right area. Wow, that's wonderful. We see how important is for you this subject about human rights. You know, so this the meander, the
Bordered meander. Bordered meander.
Yeah. It's all about this, Leonard. If we do the right treatments for the physical level and helps Catherine with don't be so sensible the thing is there is nothing wrong. The only thing is you have to take care of yourself. You know what I mean? You let the bad things around hurt you too much. That's what I'm trying to say. And what kind of things makes hurt you is these things about justice, about human being, these things. So be the fighter, but don't let the subjects goes into your heart. You know what I mean?
Right, good call. Good call. Don't be that concerned about it. Just fight the good fight, and however it works out is however it works out.
Yes. Because that's make you fragile. Okay?
Good call.
Well, Catherine, it's with you.
You see, these are drug markers here, by the way. See
Yes.
the straight with meander, and this is a vascular marker, a bordered meander. So you have the meander and you have the borders.
Yes.
But this is a difference. This is drug. This is all this drug that messed up the thyroid and causes the TSH to be off, the thyroid stimulating hormone. So,
Yes.
oh, sorry.
Don't feel don't feel guilty about the other's faults. It's not your fault. It's their fault. So it looks like you observe the faults of the others. Does that make sense?
Yes, conscientiously.
Yeah.
My
Sure.
higher self, I don't take that on because I do understand intellectually that it's not, I don't blame myself.
Yeah. It's on this. I'm trying to say is this kind of things. The subject for that what you fight on makes you feel hurt. Yeah, it hurts yourself too much. No? You need to learn the limit of that, no? To get strong. Okay, is that it? Yeah. Thank you, Leonard.
Sure
Uh,
thing.
taking advantage of the slide that it's still there. Susan asked if there is a P10, a Papa 10 in the thyroid.
And she's talking about this connection, this surrounding. And actually, that is true. So it's a good call, Susan. That's a P10. It's a worm sign, worm marker. However, you see cleansing that has occurred there. So she would have to do a rather expensive test to see if there are any worms left. And if there are any, they'd be minimal and they'd be below the level of where they're going to be showing symptoms. It's a good call. Any other questions?
Yeah, there are a couple of questions that I'm just leaving to the end regarding books and the website.
I think we are at the end.
Okay. Well, if you can't see them, Leonard, because you're doing the presentation. Let me see. Oh yeah, Helen says she cannot see the Upper Q book on the Grand Medicine website, and she would like to.
Thank you for bringing up the Grand Medicine website. It's iology.com. And the reason why it should be there, but if it isn't, it will be very soon, because by the end of the month, or even before that, the brand new website, brand new revision of iology.com will be finished. So look for that to happen. So just keep checking. Or what we will do is we will actually announce it to everybody that when it is finished. But it's been a long time coming, but it really needs to be upgraded. But that, as I say, the Upper Q book, it's just called Upper Q. And I consider it to be one of the more important books. I think I have a copy of it here. See if I can find it real quick. Upper Q. Yeah, this is what there is no hard copy of it. There will be eventually, but it looks something like this, if you can see it.
Kind of difficult to see, Leonard. It's too small.
Oh,
there, yeah, maybe.
Okay. Anyway, it's available in ebook form right now. So you should be able to find it there. But if you can't, it will be available as soon as the new website, a revision of the website is finished, iology.com. Other question?
Helen also asked about Carol Magda's iridology book, when it might be back in stock.
We don't, but she deals with it exclusively now. Carol Magda's book is only available through her. She's in Quebec. Okay.
Helen is thanking you for such a lively and informative and thoroughly enjoyable presentation. Susan is asking whether we're having other pocket videos.
I'm afraid that we are going to be doing this again because Professor Andre and I just have too much fun doing it. So it's just a question of when. Because one thing, the only difficulty I have is that I have so many other projects. I have some research projects, and finishing my big biggest project right now. I actually have finished the second edition of the Sclerology Map Book, and that's my masterpiece. So that will be available hopefully by the end of the year. It just depends. It's been turned over to Nanita, and as soon as she can get at it. So yes, the short answer is yes. Professor Andre and I will be getting together to do some more of these. It's just a lot of fun for us, and people seem to really like them. So that's the answer. Precancers are vulnerable to cancer. So cancer could be developing in there. It depends on certain qualities of the lines themselves.
Yeah.
In the case of Catherine, there wasn't anything that was really dramatic. I mean, there were some big N8s, but you have to look at the size. You have to look at the cleansing that's going on in the body altogether. This lady is moving away from basically all gross physical problems. So it's wonderful. I mean, we can do this again and again and again, and you're not going to see many.
We'll do more pocket videos like this that we're going to be doing. We'll just stay tuned.
Yeah. So yeah, I was going to say, patient after patient, you're not going to see too many that have as many cleansing signs as Catherine. So look for these. There's going to be more coming up, but just whenever we send out an email, we're also going to be sending out some emails about other announcements, other things, projects that we're going to be doing and offering to people. So just as Nanita said, stay tuned, and we'll bring you the best that we can, including some really advanced stuff coming up. Okay? Anything else?
Susan has just asked a question there.
Did Catherine say that she has recently changed her diet? Oh, yeah. How long ago was it? If Catherine is still there, maybe she can say when she made this. She went into a liquid diet. She did a liquid diet for a period of time, got into exercise. I hadn't seen her for a few months, 2 or 3 months, and all of a sudden, whoa, lady,
Yes.
What happened to you? She lost a bunch of weight. She looked 10 years younger. So this lady, she's really to be congratulated.
Over 10 years,
So she says,
my diet and lifestyle. Okay.
Right. So, but it was just actually a few months ago that she initiated a Great Liquid Diet, 30-day liquid diet. That 30-day liquid diet, what is it that they go to find the Great Liquid Diet, the book and everything, Nanita? I've forgotten. I'll send a note out about it, but I feel really good about that book. It's gone through 5 editions now. Excuse me. The latest edition of the Great Liquid Diet book, it's a 5th edition, is by far the best edition. Has a lot of stuff in it, put a lot of work into it, and I feel very good about it. So you might want to get that. And it's very inexpensive. I think it's $12 from Amazon as an ebook. You might want to check that out. Okay, anything else?
Yeah,
Yep.
well, nursing
Yep.
signs related to forgiveness in the kidneys. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And pancreas.
That's like what I said earlier. It's not just the diet. It's not just the physical stuff that influences our health. Our mental, emotional has a big component to it. Psychoenergetic, all those things. So when there is forgiveness, there was an article in PubMed that I have to look for it. That there is the people who have multiple personality disorder, and so once they have made a discovery, even just the color of the eyes, the slight changes when the personality changes, the color of the iris also changes. I was amazed when I read that article. It's actually in PubMed. And then also the physical condition, whatever the other personality is having, when they switch personality. For example, the other personality has hypertension. When they switch to another personality, hypertension is not there. So you could see how the mental, emotional component of people really greatly influences the physical.
The only thing better than forgiveness is forgetting. Better than forgiving is forgetting. Just forget the whole thing. It's in the past. Let it go.
Yes, parathyroid, because parathyroid influences the bone management of the calcium. So, yeah, deep bone, anger, things that also shake your structural system.
And this is what Professor Andre was saying. He spent a lot of time regarding that parathyroid area where we saw, the thyroid and parathyroid connected there, and you saw those N8s, and this connects with what Nanita was just saying. So forgiveness and just forgetting. Okay, it's in the past, let it go. So that could be very hard to do, but so your spiritual practice is so important. Your spiritual practice is the number one thing in your life. You do that, you're safe, you're home.
That's right.
I have a little question here regarding Susan. I heard parathyroid is related to bone deep anger.
Yeah.
Does it have something to do with bone, or is it a really, really heavy anger?
Well, it's both of those.
Both, because what happened is also shock and also being hard on yourself, hard bones. Those are the kind of things that the emotional component to it. Deep-seated anger and being hard on yourself, or traumatic influence that shook the structural system.
And you look at her eye. I'm not going to go back and look at her iris, but her iris is basically it's a stream. So that means she's a vital, and so the negative emotion that's related to the vital is anger. Those dirty rats are doing horrible things to us, to me, and I'll get back at them, anger. So
the energy of anger is too strong, and we spend too much vital force energy with the challenge to forgive. Everyone who has difficult to forgive for a long time spend too much vital force energy, and that's make people get old. That means get acid, get hyperactivity organism, acid organism, and bones problem. Why? Because you're losing your vital energy. To whom understand about Chinese medicine, it's losing Jing, right? Jing, it's on the kidney. That's why kidney is correlated with anger, right? And not with fear. Adrenal is correlated with fear. And now I remember Dr. Pezak lessons. Ovidio is here. Yeah. So adrenal is correlated with fear, and kidney is correlated with forgive. And forgive, it's all connected with Jing energy. So vital energy, your vital force, right? So if you spend too much long time in your life not able to forgive, you're losing time of your life at the end, because you're losing your quality of life. And why does it have correlated with bones? Because your bones are the structure of your soul home. Yeah, it's the house of your soul.
My boss here is telling me that it's time to go.
Yeah. Okay. So
okay, guys.
And thyroid, it's also correlated, because the energy of thyroid is the energy of looking for justice.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're looking for justice and you don't find, then you're going to kidney. So
Aha.
thyroid, kidney, you know, and all of them with each things, and then you get bones. You don't have time now to keep going, but all correlated, you know. Okay then, thank you very much. I would like to ask, maybe Catherine would like to make any question before we leave, because she spent all the time with us, she exposed herself, and maybe she has some questions to do as well.
Any
Thank you,
comments?
Dr. Andre. Thank you, Dr. Leonard and Anita. I just appreciate participating, and the information that I garnered from this is vital to my health and wellness and my continued healing. I wish you all the best in your individual endeavors as health practitioners and giving back to the world to make people healthy, happy, functioning human beings. But I feel very blessed to be the victim today. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Catherine. Okay, Dr. Leonard, thank you for all the time. It's always so enjoyable talk with you and talk with everyone. And thank you everyone who stay with us until now.
So long, everybody. I
All
gotta
right.
go.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.